effective in social enterprise, right? You go out, you say, I'm doing good because I'm working with poor people and they're buying my product. But lots of poor people are buying, lots of things that don't necessarily provide development. And so one of the things I invite you to think about is how to actually measure development. Another project I was working on was with Arab and I hospitals. I had spent time in Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry, and what they had asked my research group when I was in university for was a way to enable video consultations between doctors and patients in the village. And so what we ended up doing was setting up long-distance wireless networks between the village and the hospital so they could directly communicate between, so a doctor might be able to show up on a video and see the patient and look at what was actually going on in their eyes. This was entirely a research project from the perspective of the University of California, right? And Arabs wanted to try this, and they were excited about this because this is something where the solution would be an order of magnitude cheaper than the on-the-market solution. And for the first year of this, it required a lot of management, of contacting all of the people all the people in Pondicherry to make sure all of the networks were staying up. It required flying back to fix things over and over again. And from a financial perspective, that's not sustainable. But what made it work was that as much time was invested in supporting this actual system, they also spent time actually training local IT engineers to maintain the system and actually install new connections. And so a partnership with another organization, Julep IT, enabled Arabian to actually take the solution that we developed and continue to deploy it without depending on the university. So this is another model of sustainability from a research perspective. It's handing it over to your partner and giving them the resources they need to deploy it more widely, to replicate the solution. So, sustainable business and research, how can we work together? I've given a couple of different examples of the types of research that's done and the way that research can kind of become sustainable. One model is you can have an idea and you try it out, and then you just jump out there, right? And you start your own NGO. Another way that happens is you partner with organizations who then take up that innovation and integrate it into their own. They support it on their own. And I want to invite you to work with Microsoft and to work with other research organizations to try innovating, right? To take that risk and to build these things, but at the same time realizing that it's important to be aware of the context and people, right? And to think about this process of deploying pilots and then later on scaling up. And I think the two biggest factors I think that affect the success of these kinds of projects are, availability of champions to go out and do this work. So Ricken and Sean and everybody else that were are a critical part of making those organizations what they are today, right? And if there is no innovation champion, both on both partners' end, then the projects, even if they're good, can flounder in the water. The other thing I encourage is iteration. And this comes a little bit from software methodologies, but being willing to take an idea, throw it out there, and find out that there's things that are wrong, and being flexible enough to adjust to what you're learning about the user context and your target market. And I think it's that flexibility that ultimately will enable people to succeed. So finally, I'm seeking collaborators and I'm seeking interns. So please contact me if you have any potential needs. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Melissa, for the wonderful presentation. We're going to have some time at the end for the audience to ask questions. Please don't assume that I'm rushing through the speakers and then where are the questions going to be. So we will have we'll have the opportunity to have some questions at the end. Thank you, Melissa, once again.